is geniza, is you hide it away. So what do you mean the akum could be mavatal the avodah zara of a Jew? V'ha v'sham b'seis. It says literally again v'sam b'seis, which we translate as you have to hide it away. Rabbi Valus lo nitzrecha sheyesh lo bashutfus. We'll say what's the case where we say that an akum has the ability to go. Thank you. That the akum has the ability to go ahead and be mavatal the avodah zara of a Jew. That's when they have a partnership in the avodah zara. So we'll say, so what's happening over here? Bialduso my kasavar. So what did Rabbi hold in his youth, and what did he hold in his older age? Bialduso, when he was young, he held. Ubiziknuso my kasavar. Bialduso savar Yisrael daiti davikochav palach. But listen to this. In his youth, he assumed that when a Jew worships avodah zara in conjunction with an akum, right, in partnership with an akum, his worship is predicated on the das of the akum. Therefore, therefore, once the Ovid Kochavim is mevatel, his chilik in the avodah zara, by definition, the Jew is going to be mevatel his, which is why the akum has the ability to be mevatel the Jew's chilik in the avodah zara. Ubiziknuso sabar, but when he got old, what did he hold? Adaita denafshe palach. That when a Jew has shutfus in avodah zara with an akum, the Jew is acting of his own volition. He's not theologically based on the akum. He happens to be a partner in the akum in this particular avodah zara, but he has his own theology, which is not dependent on the akum. Therefore, again, adaita denafshe palach ki mevatel avodas kochavim denafshe the Yisrael lo batal. Therefore, when the Ovid Kochavim is mevatel his piece, it's only his chilik that he's mevatel, not the chilik of the Yisrael. Ikedemasni la seifa. So we'll say some go ahead and have this conversation on the Seif of the Mishnah. Yisrael doesn't have the ability to be mevatel the avodah zara and akum, so pshita, that's obvious. Amr Reb Hillel Berei de Rabbi Valas, what's the top of Nun Gimel? Lo nitzrecha elash yesh lo bashutfus. What's the case of both sides where Yisrael and Akum own an avodah zara jointly? The Kamash Mulan the Yisrael who do lo mevatel the Ovid Kochavim, and we learn over here that the Yisrael does not have the ability to negate the akum's chelek. Aval Ovid Kochavim dinafshe mevatel, but the Ovid Kochavim, I will say, has the ability to be mevatel his own piece. Iga demasni la brayso. Others go ahead and frame this conversation regarding the brayso. Reb Shem Menashe Omer avodas Kochavim shal Yisrael ein la betela olamis, so that the avodah zara of an akum, the avodas Kochavim of Yisrael, we will say, can never become batal. My olamis, what does it mean forever? Shutfus. We'll say what's the case is where the Jew owns an idol jointly with the Oved Avodah Zara. V'kamashvalon, the Yisrael adaite denafshe palach. And Abba is coming to teach us that when Yisrael worships, he worships of his own theological volition, not dependent ultimately again on the akum in any way. So Abba say this actually raises an interesting question about jointly owned Avodah Zara. So listen to this. The Shulchan Aruch in Siman Kuf Mem Vav Sif Aleph says as follows: Avodas Kochavim shel Ovid Kochavim shebitla Ovid Kochavim. We'll say if you have Avodah Zara that belongs to an akum, that the akum was mevatel muteres. Okay, that we know. Once the akum is mevatel, and we'll discuss how you mevatel an idol. That's the next Mishnah. It's muter. Aval Yisrael enu yachal levatel avodas kom shel Ovid Kochavim. V'chol shekein shel Yisrael she'in la bit olamas. We'll say a Jew does not have the ability to be mevatel avodah zara. Whether it's his avodah zara, whether it's an akum's avodah zara, he can't be mevatel. So an akum can be mevatel his own avodah zara or the avodah zara of his friend. A Yisrael, a Jew, cannot be mevatel either his or an akum avodah zara. Afilu yesh avodas kochavim shutvos ba'imo ein bitla ovid kochavim moil lechelik Yisrael. Both say how the Shulchan Aruch paskin. If you have a Jew and an akum who jointly own an avodah zara, and the akum is mevatel his part, his bitl only works for what Rabbi say? His chelek of the avodah zara, but it does not work for the Yisrael's chelek of the avodah zara. The Yisrael's chelek is non-bittlable, right? Non-muvuttalable. So therefore, again, that's how Shulchan Aruch paskins halacha l'maisa. Good. Says the Mishnah. Kates mevatel. So we'll say now we've been spending all this time speaking about bittul. How are you mevatel an avodah zara? So a couple of ways. We'll say now. Remember, this is going by an akum because Yisrael cannot be mevatel avodah zara. So how is an akum mevatel as avodah zara? So we'll say, by the way, the other piece which we didn't really dwell on is an akum could be mevatel his avodah zara or the avodah zara of his friend, which we'll say also sounds like what? We'll discuss this in greater depth. that an akum can be mevatel and avodah zara, even if what? Forget about that, it's not his. But even if he doesn't worship it, even if it's not his deity, he can still be mevatel. Again, we'll expand on that in just a little bit. So how you mevatel the avodah zara? So it says the Gemara, kata rosh, if you cut off its head, right? Kata roshna ozna, rosh chotma, you cut off its head, you cut off its nose, you cut off its ear. Rosh etzba, the top tip of its finger. Pachsa, pachsa. Rashi says mircha bekornus, you dent it with a hammer. Now the interesting part about denting as opposed to all the other pieces, all the other examples is different. Why? Because all the other pieces you're removing a part of the idol. Denting, I'm not removing anything from the idol. I'm just what? Denting, right? I'm damaging it. So essentially what we're seeing over here is even any level of defacing the idol is also a form of bittul. So rak bifaneha, if you spit in its face, hishin bifaneha, urinated on it, garara, dragged it, Zara ba'asatzoa, threw excrement at it, harezu eina betela. Both say this does not negate the avodah zara. Now, interestingly enough, why does not? Both say this is amazing. Why does this not negate the avodah zara? Rashi says over here, eina betela, dilafum shaita rasech alav ahadar palachla. Both say because sometimes people get into arguments, even with their avodah zara. So, in the heat of the moment, people fling excrement. It happens. So therefore, again, we assume that it's just a simple falling out with the avodah zara, but they're going to make up, right? They're going to reconcile, things are going to be okay. So because of that, I will say it is not considered to be a bittul of the avodah zara. Machra o mashkana, we'll say if a person sold his idol, an akum sold his idol, or mashkana, or he collateralized it. So we'll say, what's the status of the idol? Is that considered a bittul of the avodah zara or not? Rebbe Omer bittul, v'cham Omer lo bittul. Rebbe says, if you sell your idol or you collateralize your idol, ultimately that is a bittul, right? You have been mevatel the idol. Chachamim say you have not been mevatel the idol. Good. So we'll say, so says the Gemara, kilo chosr b'may bitla. So we'll say, in the cases of bittul, so I understand the cutting off of the ear, the cutting off of the nose, all of these different pieces, fine. But if you just dented it and you did not in any way diminish the idol, so how is that bittul? Amar Reb Zera shepachsa befaneha. Both say the case over here is where literally again you went ahead and you dented its face. So Rashi says over here v'kilkel tsurasa, because you dented its face, so you totally defaced. Essentially, you mamish defaced. You changed the image ultimately of the avodah zara. Therefore, it's bittul. Rakak befaneh v'hishtem befaneh. So also remember again, the Mishnah said that if you spit in its face or you urinated on it, so this is not bittul. This is not bittul. So how do we know that? Meaning, how do we know? We would have assumed, before the Mishnah said anything, I would have assumed that any act of blatant disrespect is just considered to be a form of bittul. Yet we see from here that even an act of blatant disrespect is not reckoned as bittul. Where do we know that from? So says the Gemara, I'll tell you where. I'm a Chizkiah, Damarkra, because we're going to say the Gemara quotes the passage from Yeshaya. V'haya ki yirav, it will be when he is starving. V'hiskatza v'kila b'malko be'lahav upanav lamala. So we'll say the Navi over here is referring to the people who worship avodah zara. That when they're in need, when they're starving, so they're going to turn their back on their avodah zara and they're going to look forward. They're going to look up to the heavens. And what happens? What does the next pasuk say? Ve'al aretz yabit v'neitzara v'chashecha. I will say what usually happens. After they then get food and the belly is full, so where do they turn back to? They turn back to worshiping the earth. So you see from here that even when a person has a theological falling out with his deity, reconciliation is possible. Which I will say, by the way, just all kidding aside, this happens to us with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well, that there are times when we have a strained relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam, but that in no way chas v'shalom means that the relation that is bittul chas v'shalom, that there's no relationship. So apparently the Havdi Elef Alfa Rivi Avdal, same thing with Ovdi Avodah Zara, that you could have a situation where they have a falling out, but Lamais again the relationship is still there. The Afa Gav the Kila Malkov Elokav Elohav, even though again the Ovdi Avodah Zara in his time of need cursed his idolatry, Upanav Lamal, and he looked to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nevertheless, subsequently when things are okay, El Eretz Yabit. Ultimately again he looks down to the earth. He looks down to the earth. Therefore, I will say again, the Gemara says over here, that's why these acts of going ahead and these acts of disrespect to the Avodah Zara do not necessarily translate into a bittul. Machra or mashkina, Rebbe Omer. So remember again, there's a Gemara over here. So what happens? So the Gemara says over here the following, that what happens, if a person goes ahead and person goes ahead and sells the idol or collateralizes the idol, so what happens? We'll say, is that bittul or not? So Rebbe says it's bittul. Chachamim say it's not bittul. So what's happening over here? So Zeiri Amar Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba Amar Rav Chad Amar Machlokes B'Tzorif Ovid Kochavim. But so listen to this. Here's what's interesting. Who are you selling it to? Who are you selling it to? So the Gemara says over here that the assumption of Rabbi says a tzorif is like a metal worker. The assumption over here is we're talking about a metal idol. So who am I selling it to? I'm selling it to a tzorif. So if I sell it to a tzorif ovid kochavim, that's where the machlokes between Rabbi and the Chachamim applies. We'll say, look at Rashi for just a moment. Tzorif ovid kochavim, shemachra ovid kochavim l'tzorif chavero, hasub kamri rabbanan delo bitla, to savra mocher kevin delo keach ze ovid kochavim, hu palach la, v'lo tavar la. We'll say, listen to this. So one opinion says that the machlokes in Rabbi and the Rabbanan is in the following case. You have an akum who sells his metallic avoda zara to a certain. By the way, it doesn't really matter what the profession of the buyer is. The point the Gemara is making over here is the machlokes is when you're selling it to another akum. So Rebbe says if you're selling it to another akum, that second akum is going to what? The Chachamim say that second akum is going to worship it as well. So because of that, there's no bittul. Rebbe holds just simply the act of selling it, selling your deity, selling your God is in and of itself an act of bittul. If Yisrael divrei hakol bittul. But I will say if he's selling it to a Jew, everyone will agree that what? That is certainly a bittul of the Avoda Zara. The Chadamar, in another opinion, says, B'tzorif Yisrael machlokes. That when you are selling it ultimately again to a tzorif Yisrael, that's what is selling it to a Jew. That's where there's a machlokes. So the Gemara says, "Ibaylehu." But tzorif Yisrael machlokes about tzorif avoid come divrei akol lo bitel. So we'll say when we say that the machlokes is in a case where the akum is selling it to a Jew. So we'll say, does that mean that it's only a machlokes where he's selling it to a Yisrael, but when he sells it to an akum, everybody agrees that it's not batel? Oh, Dilma bein bazeh machlokes. Or maybe what it's saying is, we'll say the second opinion is saying the machlokes Rabbi and the Rabbanan is in both cases, both when you sell it to a Jew as well as when you sell it to an akum. To which the Gemara says, Tashma, Da'amar Rebbe, Nirin Divarai Kishemachra Lechavla, V'divrei Chaverai Shemachra La'avda. So Rebbe says, my words appear to be correct when you sold it Lechavla. We're going to translate the words literally, then we'll explain what it means. Lechavla means to destroy it. And the words of my friends, i.e. the Rabbanan, when you sold it to serve it. So the Gemara says, my Lechavla, my La'avda. What does that mean, to destroy it and to serve it? If you want to say to destroy means to destroy, and to serve means to serve, my time and demand amar bitel, or my time and demand amar lo bitel. But let's say if halach l'maisa you sold the akum sold the avodah zara to be destroyed, why would anyone say that's not batel? And if he sold the avodah zara to be served, why would anyone say that is batel? To which the Gemara says, Ela lav lechavla lemisha asad lechavla. Rather, what you have to say is if he sells the avodah zara to be destroyed means he sells it to someone who may ultimately destroy it. Who is that? Umanu tzorif Yisrael. We'll say that refers to a Jew. La'avda, what does it mean to serve it? Lemisha asad la'avda. Ultimately, again, someone who will ultimately serve it. Ummanu, I was saying, who is that? Tzorif ovid kochavim. That refers to an akum. Shmamina, bein bazeh machlokes. But I will say, see that essentially in both cases, whether you sell it to Yisrael or you sell it to an akum, there is going to be a machlokes in Rabbi and the Chachamim. To which the Gemara says, lo, hachi ka'amar. This is what it means to say, Amar Rabbi, nirin devarai lechaveri, right? My words are correct in the eyes of my friends. Kishamachla lachavla. When you sold it to destroy it, or as even Rabbi says, even the Rabbanan will agree with me that if the idol is sold in such a way that it's going to be destroyed, that is certainly a bittul. Ummanu, and I will say ultimately again, who does that apply to? Tzarif Yisrael. Sha'av chaveri lo nechlaku ella kishamachra la'avda aval lachavla moduli. Rabbi assumes that the Rabbanan only argue with him in a case ultimately where what? Where it's being sold to another akum. Right? It's being sold to another akum, but if it's being sold to a Yisrael, ultimately again, even the Rabbanan will agree I'm sorry. The Rabbanan only disagree with me. I'm sorry. The Rabbanan only disagreed with me in a case, ultimately, again, where it's being sold to another akum. But if it's being sold to a Jew, then the Maisa, again, even the Rabbanan will agree with me that it's bottle. So we'll say, okay, let's finish this. Meisvei. So Gemara raises a kasha. Halokech, supposed to just say what we're holding right now. We have a machlokas in Rebbe and the Rabbanan in the Mishnah. The question is, if an akum sells his idol, is that considered to be an act of bittul or not? Rebbe says yes, Chachamim say no. We'll say, what are we trying to figure out over here? We're trying to figure out over here what is the context of the machlokes. Do they disagree in all cases of sales, no matter who you're selling it to, whether you're selling it to an akum, or whether you're selling it ultimately again to a Yisrael? It doesn't make a difference. The act of selling is the machlokes. Or what the Gemara is suggesting right now is that no, the machlokes, we'll say, is really only in a case where you're selling it to a Jew. That's the machlokes. Rebbe will say that's bittul. That's an act of bittul. Why? Because for an akum to sell his idol, we'll say, what is the Jew going to do with this idol? What is the Jew going to do with this idol? Right? He's going to destroy it. There's really nothing else he can do with it. He'll destroy it. So the Maisa again, Rebbe will say, in bittul guldolu mizo. The Rabbanan say, no, it's not bittul. Why? Because what potentially could the Jew go ahead and do it? He'll give it to an akum. In other words, he'll just get rid of it. So the Oved Kochavim could assume this idol will ultimately end up in the hands of another akum, even though right now I'm selling it to a Jewish intermediary. So we'll say that's the context of the machlokes here. We'll say first wide line on the bottom of Nun Gimel Amadal 53a. So Meisvei Halokeach Grutos of the Matzavan of others Kochavim. This is actually very interesting. If you buy scraps of metal scraps from an Ovid Kochavim, and what do you find in the scraps? You find an idol. Avoda Kochavim. Im achlo nasan maos mashach yachzir. So say, if you have not yet given money, even though you've done Mashiach, in other words, if you're already taking possession of the scrap metal, but you haven't given money yet, then the truth is you should give back. You should go ahead and give back the items and cancel out the transaction. In other words, better not to go ahead and take possession of the Avoda Zara. We'll say, look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi says, Im achlo nasan maos mashach yachzir lo v'kocham v'yivat lena v'achar kach im yirtzei yikachan imenu. So we'll say, listen to this. What's the goal? Give back the metal scraps to the Ovid Kochavim. Tell him there's an idol in there. Now, the best case scenario is that what? Let the akum be mevatel the Avoda Zara, and then what? And then he can give you back everything. Because once he gives it back to you and it's bottled, then what? It's no longer an idol. It's just simply metal. However, v'afagav, I'm finishing Rashi. V'afagav d'mashach. Lo amrin avodas kam she'Yisrael hi ve'ina betel da mashicha betalos havi to lo yod shesh avodas kam. So this is actually very interesting. Even though you already did mashicha, now granted in this case I didn't give the money. Obviously, if I did mashicha and I gave the money, then what? Then we're done, right? The transaction is done. The case over here is I did Mashiach, but I didn't yet give the money. So Rashi says, why isn't the Mashiach Koneh? Because it's a Mashiach Betos. It's a mistaken Mashiach. I did Mashiach under a certain set of understanding and circumstances. I was wrong. I was being Moshech ultimately on scrap metal. Turns out there's Avoda Zara in there. So as long as money didn't exchange hands, I give him back the stuff. Hopefully, again, the Akon will be Mavatal, the idol. He can give me back everything, and Shalom al Yisrael. On the flip side, imishanasan maos mashach, but say, if I did Mashiach and what? I did Mashiach and I went ahead and I already gave the money, then yolich liyam hamelach. Then Abba say, at that point in time the transaction is final, and I have to take the value of the idol and throw it into the yam hamelach. So watch this. If you saw machlokes, so I'll say, if you say the machlokes in Rabbi and the Rabbanan is dafka what? In the case where the akum is selling his idol to a Jew, that's the machlokes. That's where the Rabbanan say lo bitel, and Rabbi says batel. Then hamani Rabbanani. Then Rabbi say, whose opinion is reflected in this brisa? See, Rabbi say, here's what's interesting in this case. You have an akum selling scrap metal with an idol in there to a Jew. So what are we saying? What comes out from this case, Rabbi say, is that the Jew, that we don't assume that the akum was mevatel, the idol that's inside the scrap metal. So Rabbi say, if you say that the machlokes in Rabbi and the Rabbanan is even in a case of Yisrael, that even in that case, the Rabbanan say that there is not bittul, then the brisa just quoted reflects the view of the Rabbanan. But I will say, if you say that the machlokes is only in a case of where you sold it to an akum, but if a Gentile sells, if an akum sells an idol to a Yisrael, it's certainly batal, even the Rabbanim agree with that, then how money? Then ultimately, whose opinion does this price reflect? To which the Gemara says, no. This case that we just mentioned with the scrap metal is different. Why? Hasam adaita degru tos zabin, adaita da avodas kochavim lo zabin. But say in this case over here, Lemaisa, when the Akum was selling scrap metal, his intention wasn't to sell an idol. His intention was to sell scrap metal. But in other words, it's quite possible that idol just got mixed up with the scrap metal, but his intention wasn't to sell Avoda Zara, it was to sell scrap metal. Because that wasn't his intention to sell Avoda Zara, everybody will agree that what? Everyone will agree that what? That there was no bittul on his part. There can be no bittul if there was not a cognitive recognition that I'm selling Avoda Zara. So we'll say, so where we leave off over here, both sides, the way the Rambam and others interpret it, is that the machlokus between Rebbe and the Rabbanon is dafka in a case where you're selling it to Yisrael. Everyone agrees that halacha l'maaseh, if you're selling it to an akum, that is not bittul. That is not bittul, because you're selling it from one idolater to another idolater. That's not bittul. The machlokes case is where an akum sells his idol to a Yisrael. Rebbe says that if an akum sells his idol to an ein bittul gidol mizo, that's bittul. That's bittul. The Rabbanon will say even in that case it's not bittul. I will say, how do we pass halacha l'maisa? We pass that it's not bittul. The only way for bittul to occur by Avodah Zara is for an Oved Chacham to actively be mevatel his Avodah Zara. In other words, what we call circumstantial bittul, which essentially is in this case of selling an idol, is not enough of bittul. You need actual bittul. Again, we're going to see that more come out now. Tana Rabbanon. We'll say, listen to this next case. Lava Allah. We'll say, I collateralized the idol. I used to go, which could have Avodah Zara, it's worth a lot of money. I collateralized the idol. Or Oshenafla Mapoles. Or I will say, what happened? So a building fell on my idol, and I make absolutely no rescue attempt. Right? I'm not calling Zaka or anyone else. Right? No one is trying to go ahead and get my idol out. Oshe Ganvua listin, or robbers stole my idol, and I didn't even try to run after them. Oshe Nicha Let's listen to this case. Or I went on vacation and I didn't take my idol with me. Happens by the Goyim also, right? Apparently people go on vacation and leave religion at home. So what happens? So they go ahead and I go on vacation, and what happens? The idol stays at home. So I'll say, I'm a base. So I'll say, so this is an interesting case. So what happens over here? So now what I've had over here in this situation is circumstantial bittul. In other words, I shouldn't say circumstantial bittul. I'm engaging in behaviors, Rabbi, which seems to indicate a lack of fidelity or allegiance to my idol. Good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. Right? I go ahead and so we'll say, so the shaila is, what do you do with these behaviors? So it says the Gemara as follows. So says the Gemara, Imasidin lachsor kemol chames Yoshua. So we'll say this is a very strange statement, which we'll explain a little bit later. If ultimately again, im asidin lachsor kemol chames Yoshua, if lemaisa again the akum is going to return like after the war with Yoshua. Again, we'll define that statement just a little bit. Ein a betela. The Avodah Zara is not batal. So we'll say. So the shaila, of course, is why do I need all of these cases? Hers both say seemingly again. I need nafla lamapoles ganvua listin henicha ban. Why do I need all of these cases? Utzricha says the Gemara. Both say second line from the top. Nun gimel amud beis 53b. Utzricha di tana lava ala. Because we'll say if we would have just had a case where I collateralized the idol, midalo zabna lo batla. I would have thought, listen, collateralization of an idol is not bittul. Why? Because also I still retain ownership. As long as I retain ownership, ultimately, again, it is not batal. Aval nafal amapoles. I will say where a building falls on the idol, midalo kamafni le. The fact that I'm not even trying to remove the rubble to go ahead and retrieve the idol. Ema bituli batla. I would have thought that what? That lamaisa again, this is an act of bittul. Therefore, against tzricha. Therefore, what I need this case as well. And if it would have just said the case of where the building falls on the idol, mishum desavar hamanchos kol ema diba inala shekilna. Shekilna will say, everything's a matter of perspective. When the building falls on the idol, the akum could say, listen, you know what? Here's the good news. The idol is safe. The idol is safe. I don't need to get it now, right? But whenever I want it, it's accessible to me. All a matter of perspective. So I might have thought, say that's not a case of bittul. Aval ganvua listim. I will say if robbers steal my idol, I don't even bother to run after them. Batule batla. Then that must be a case of what? That must be a case ultimately of bittul. Therefore, tzricha. Vitana ganvoa, listen. We'll say, so all the Gemara is just telling us now is why we needed each of these cases. Vitana ganvoa, listen. If we would have just stated the case of where the robber stole the idol, so the Gemara says, Mishum de savar I ovid kochavim shakila maflach palach, because he assumes, listen, if the robber was an akum, so at least he'll dive into it, right? So he's a thief, but I know he'll worship the idol. His idol's in good hands. I Yisrael shakla, and if it's a Jew ultimately who stole it, ID didameh yikarin, since it's very valuable, mezabin leila ovid kochavim upalachlei. Ultimately, again, the Jew will sell it, right? He'll make a profit, but ultimately it'll end up being in the hands of the akum who will dive into it. But I will say, if the owners went overseas and left their idol behind, I would have thought the fact that they didn't take it with them on vacation, it clearly means that what? That they are mevatel the idol. Therefore what? Therefore tzvicha. Therefore I will say, ultimately again, all the cases are necessary. So all the Gemara just proved, I will say, is that each of the cases are necessary because, as mentioned on their own, I would have thought that perhaps these would be cases of bittul. Kamash malan, there is no bittul in any of these cases. Now remember again, so the Gemara gave a modifier. When are these cases not considered bittul? Imasid and lachsor kimilchemes Yoshua. If the akum was going to return back, like after the war with Yoshua. So what does that mean? Imasid and lachsor kimilchemes Yoshua ina b'teila. What does that mean if the akum is going to come back? Like after war with Yoshua. So the Avoda Zara is not bittul. We'll say, remember again, what happened in the war with Yoshua? They didn't come back. Right? Remember again, when Yoshua goes to war against the Zayin Amin, the 7 nations in Eretz Canaan, Eretz Yisrael, those nations are killed. Right? They're wiped out, or they flee, or they did not come back to their homes afterwards. Says this is what it means. Hachi kamar. Imasidin lachzor. Rabbi, listen to this. If the akum has intention to come back home, harehu kimachemes Yoshua ve'ein la betela. Then it is like the war with Yoshua, and what? The Avoda Zara is not batal. Rabbi, say, listen to this. When Yoshua went to war, look at Rashi actually, it's the top Rashi, second line from the top. Hachi kamar masid lachzor, hari asura ke'osav l'scham shalam oroim, sheyotzel l'mochama, v'dimo lachzor, lefichach nesra v'lazar shalahem, bahana, dichsiv lo yidbach b'yad chumor. Listen to this. When Yoshua goes to war against the Zayin Amin, they go to war against Yoshua, what was the intention, what was the mindset of the nations who went to war with Yoshua? What was their mindset? They were going to be successful, they were coming back home. They went out to wage a war, they're going to come back home. Therefore, what's Rabbi saying? They were not mevatel their Avoda Zara before they left, because their intention was, we're coming right back to worship you. Therefore, when Yoshua defeats them and they find this Avoda Zara, Rabbi say that Avoda Zara is Asr Ba'ana. Why is it Asr Ba'ana? Because it's never been batal, it's never been mevotel, ultimately again by an akum. So the Gemara says is as follows: that ultimately again, if the akum goes overseas, but it's his clear intention to return home, then what? Then his Avoda Zara is like the Avoda Zara of the Amoraim during the war with Yoshua. Just like that Avoda Zara was Asr Ba'ana because the Amoraim had intention to come back home, so too, even though the Akum goes overseas, and he's not a very frum Akum, because he doesn't take his Avoda Zara with him, nevertheless, because it is his intention to come back, therefore what? It is not batal. It is not batal. Ve'ein la b'teila. So I don't understand. Why don't you just say that? Why don't you just say that if the Akum goes overseas and it's his intention to return, so ultimately again the Avoda Zara is not batal. Why do you have to say it in such a cryptic way? If they're going to come back, then the Avoda Zara is treated like the Avoda Zara in the aftermath of the war of Yeshua. Why don't you just say what you mean? So we'll say, because I'll tell you why. Excuse me. Milsav agav orche kamash malon. So they both say the Gemara is just teaching me 2 halachas in one. So what it's teaching me is, by the way, what happened in the aftermath of the war with Yoshua. So after Yoshua conquered the Amoraim, and ultimately again, not the Amoraim, the Amorim. I'm sorry, the Amorim. I will say, and he comes back and he finds the Avoda Zara. So the Maisa again, that Avoda Zara is not batal. So the Gemara is just teaching me that halacha, and the same thing applies over here. That when the Akum goes overseas, if it's his intention to return, his Avoda is not batal. Ki hadam Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Listen to this. Yisrael shazakaf levena. We actually mentioned this case in passing before. the Yisrael goes ahead of Moshe and stood up a brick. So he stands up. So the brick is standing on its height, right? It's standing up. So says the Gemara, "L'shtachavosla," and his intention is to worship it. Uba ovid kocham v'shtachavela. Moshe, watch this. Before the Yisrael has a chance to worship it, who comes along? An akum comes along and worships it. So we'll say what happens. So asura. Ultimately, again, the brick is asur. So again, in this case, the Yisrael stood it up for the purpose of worshiping it. He doesn't get a chance to. The Yakum swoops in, worships it first. The brick is asur. So Minol Asur, where do you know that from? Or as we'll say, it actually generally flies against another strongly held principle, which is what we'll say. Ein Adam Oser Davar Sheinu Shalo. You can't asur something that doesn't belong to you. So it's true that the Yisrael stood up the brick and was about to worship it, but he didn't worship it. Now the Akum comes along and worships it, and suddenly what we're saying is the brick is asur. So why is that? Rabbi Lazar, Kitchilasa Shal Eretz Yisrael. Because we'll say this is like the beginning of Eretz Yisrael. What does that mean? Tam Rachmana Vashrem Tisrafun Be'esh. Because listen to this. The Torah says that when you come into Eretz Yisrael, you have to destroy the asherus of the indigenous nations. So I don't understand why that is. Michti Yerushi Hilam Avosehem Ve'ein Adam Oseh Davar Sheinu Shalom. But say, listen to this. This is amazing kasha. Why should I have to destroy the Avoda Zara of the nations? After all, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave the land to Avram Avinu, which means that when those nations worshipped their Asherah trees, they both say, what were they doing? Whose trees are they worshipping? They're worshipping our trees. So ultimately, again, they don't have the ability to worship our trees. Right? The land belonged to us already from the time of Avram Avinu. If that's the case, anything they aser, they really couldn't aser, because you can't aser something that is not yours. We'll say, and if you want to say, well, what about the trees that existed before Avram Avinu? They can go ahead and aser those trees. That's fine. We could force the Akum to be mavatal those Asherah trees. Right? We'll identify the ancient Asherah trees. We'll force the Akum to be mavatal those, and Shalom Yisrael. Why do we have to? We'll say it's a profound shayla. Ein Adam Oser Davar Sheinu Shelo. You can't ask something that doesn't belong to you. As Yisrael belonged to us from the time of Avram Avinu. Therefore, again, the nations living there didn't have the ability to aser the Asherah trees because they were our trees. They were trees before Avram Avinu. That's fine. We'll identify those trees, force the Akun to be mevatel those trees, but the rest of the trees should be able to stay. Ella midapalchi Yisrael le'egel. This is a very profound statement. The fact that Klal Yisrael worshipped the egel. Galu adataihu tenechalu ba'avodos kochavim. They played their hands, so to speak. The fact that we worshipped the eagle in the desert, and the eagle was Avoda Zara, so he demonstrated, unfortunately, that we like idolatry. Listen to how profound this is. Therefore, when the Akums went ahead and worshipped idolatry in Eretz Yisrael, they were acting as our shluchim. Whereas we demonstrate that we have no problem with Avoda Zara, right? We worship Avoda Zara also. Therefore, when they introduce Avoda Zara into Eretz Yisrael, they're viewed as acting as our shluchim, very strong. Hachinami Yisrael shazakaf lavena. So to say, if Yisrael stands up a brick, and it's clear from his intention that he's going to worship it, then gali daita dinecha le'bavodas kachavim. It is clear that he's happy to worship idolatry. And therefore, again, when the Akum comes along and davens to the brick, worships the brick, so ultimately, again, he's looked at as the shaliach of the Jew. We'll say maybe the Jews only like the eagle, they didn't like Asherus, they didn't like other Avodah Zara. We'll say first white line when Gimel days, Amar Kra, Eila Elohecha Yisrael. We'll say ultimately again when they made the eagle, the cry comes out, these are your gods, Israel. Plural. Melamed She'ivu Leilohus Harbe. Shows that the Jews wanted many different gods. Ema Kol de Bahadi Egel Nisru Mikan Ve'elach Nishtri. So we'll say, why don't you say that only the trees, therefore, that were planted at the time of the eagle should be aser, right? We'll say, but those afterwards, mikan ve'elach nishtari, anything afterwards should be mutter. To which the Gemara says, man muchach. Ultimately, again, who would be able to tell which Asherah trees are which? So we'll say, so the way the sugya ultimately ends off is by saying again, halacha l'maisa, we accept these examples that halacha l'maisa, if the Akum has an idol and the building fell on it, or even if it was stolen and he doesn't run after it, or even if he goes out of town. So we'll say, so again, the first case is it's not bittul. Essentially, you see the theme. The theme is there is no such thing as circumstantial bittul. The only way for an akum to be mevatel and idol rabosai is how? For him to actively do an act of bittul, to actively engage in negation of the idol. But any type of passive negation or any type of circumstantial negation is not enough. Even going and leaving the idol behind, again, if he's never coming back, that might be bittul. But if his intention is to come back, then again, that is not bittul. Also, let's look at the Mishnah. Avoda's chacham sheinicha Avoda b'shash sham. So let's listen to this. Let's say you have a case of an Oved Kochavim who left behind his Avoda Zara. He ran away and he moved away and he left behind his Avoda Zara. So let's say, so the shaila is that bittul? So the Gemara says, Avoda's chacham sheinicha Avoda b'shas shalom muteres. So I'll say ultimately again, if it's a time of peace, then the idol is mutter. Well, so what does it mean it's a time of peace? In other words, if there's no threat to the akum, and the akum just left of his own volition, then I will say it's clear that what? That is an act of bittul, and therefore the idol is mutter. Again, we'll see how to reconcile this with the previous teachings. B'shas milchama, I will say if let's say the akum ran away in a time of war, so let's say he's running away from his life for his life and he leaves his idol behind, then what? Asura. Then I will say the idol is still asur. Why? Because his act of fleeing from the idol, leaving the idol behind, in no way demonstrates an act of bittul, a negation of the identity of this idol. Bimusayos shamalachim. So we'll say literally a bimusam is a pedestal upon which a statue, an avodah zara, sits that belong to the kings. Hare elu mutaros. Ultimately, again, these are mutar. These are mutanos. We'll say they're not considered to be ultimately again avodah zara. Why? Because I will say they only go ahead and set them up at the time when the kings are passing by. So says the Gemara. Again, we're going to define all of these statements. Based Nimrod, Hariyu Kavodas Kochavim. We'll say the house of Nimrod. We'll say what's the house of Nimrod? Migdal Bavel. Migdal Bavel, right? The original Migdal built in Sefer Reishis. That Migdal ultimately again is like Hari Kavodas Kochavim Shenicha Ovdeh B'Shash Shalom Umutter. We'll say Migdal Bavel is like an idol left behind by its worshippers in a time of peace, and therefore again it is permitted to get benefit from Migdal Bavel. There's no problem getting benefit. Afal Gav. Even though when HaKadosh Baruch Hu scattered them, right, by changing their languages, that was like a shas milchama. Ultimately, again, if they had chosen to return, they could have returned. Midalo hadar batuli batla. From the fact that they did not return, Abasa indicates to us what? Ultimately, again, they chose to be mevatel, the idol. They chose to be mevatel, which was actually interesting that according to this approach in the Gemara, Migdal Bava Abasa was an avodah zara, which is quite interesting. There's a whole machlokes in Mefarshim. What exactly was Migdal Bav, right? Rashi and the Psukim says their goal was to go up to the heavens to do a war with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or to, so to speak, bolster the heavens to prevent another flood. According to the Gemara over here, it's clear that the Migdal itself was an avodah zara. It was an idolatry. But yet it's treated like an idolatry whose adherents fled during a time of peace, which by definition is an act of bittul, and therefore again one is permitted to get benefit ultimately from Migdal Bavel today. But so we'll stop over here for today. I'll share with you a short idea on the parsha. So we'll say there is an incredible pasuk. I remember in the parashas this week we have this great schos of reading Vayakel, Pekudei, Parashas Para. So to share with you just an idea in Parashas Vayakel, so the pasuk says as follows. This is in Parak Lamed Hey, Psukim Chaf through Chaf Aleph. So the pasuk says Vayetz. Remember again, in these parshios, we're talking about the actual building of the Mishkan and fabrication of the utensils. So the pasuk says Vayetzu Kol Adas Bnei Yisrael B'Fnei Moshe Vayavohu Kol Ish Ashenis Sa'olibo. It's every single person, I will say literally, whose heart uplifted him. V'Chol Asher Nodvo Rucho, whoever had generosity of spirit. Oso hevies trumas Hashem lemelechas or moed ulechol avodas ulebigdei hakodesh. They brought all of their offerings, all of their gifts, right, all of their trumas, all of their tzedakos, all their offerings to the melacha of the Oel Moed, and for everything needed to construct the Mishkan and the Bigdei Hakodesh for the Bigdei Kahuna. So I'll say this is actually quite beautiful. The Chaim David Azulai makes an amazing observation. I'll read to you his words. He says, Ki yadua yesh merchak gadol bein hamachshava lenaisa, bein haratzon hatov lahagshamaso. The Chida says, Rabbosai, sometimes the greatest challenge in life is as follows. We have beautiful intentions, beautiful thoughts, beautiful dreams, beautiful aspirations. I have incredible goals, so many things I want to do. What's the problem? There's often a divide between what I want to do and what I actually do. What I actually do. There's what I want to be, there's who I want to be, there's how I want to live my life, there's what I want to actualize, there's what I want to accomplish, and those are all the things that are mamish churning inside of me every single day. And I have a beautiful image of all the things I want to do. The problem in life often is the execution, is actually following through on those very things. He says, Harbi ritzonos tovim, misnatrim lifnei sheyatzu ala poel. There are many beautiful thoughts that a person has, but so few of them actually materialize. Harbe anoshim nosim bechova machshavos nalos chavtzei lev tovim, ach lichlal meisa einam magiyim. The Bible says these words of the Chidah are so beautiful. So many people have so many elevated and exalted thoughts, so many dreams, so many aspirations, so many ideas, ideals, things I want to accomplish. Ach lichlal meisa einam magiyim. But I will say, never comes lichlal meisa. People go through life with so many incredible desires and aspirations, and yet, again, for whatever the reason, it just never materializes. So Abba says the Chidah, see Abba, you know the fundamental shaila, just pause here for just a moment. The fundamental shaila with all these sugim Abba is, when you read these parashios, what's the thing that always goes through your mind? Always goes through your mind? Okay, excellent. Meaning, right, it's so repetitive. It's so repetitive. We'll say, remember, if you were to go out, if you have like 10 minutes today, you'll open up a chumash, and you'll two chumashim, and you'll just do a side-by-side comparison between Truma and Tetzaveh and Vayakil and Pekudei. And I will say, they're virtually mirror parshios. Again, there's some new information, that's like we have Shabbos, there's some new information, but essentially it's mirror. So I will say, says, the Chidah makes an amazing observation. Do you know what the only difference in the parshios are? Listen to this. He says, Lochein, Misaperes lanu atorah ki betrumas hamishkan lo haya af echad kazeh. See, Rabbi, here's something amazing. Do you know what Truma and Tetzaveh speak about? Truma and Tetzaveh speak about all the things that people wanted to do. All the things that people wanted to do. Truma and Tetzaveh is all about dreams. Truma and Tetzaveh is all about aspirations. Truma and Tetzaveh is all about goals. Do you know what Vayakil and Pekudei is all about, Rabbi saying? People doing. People doing. People taking dreams, people taking aspirations, people taking ideas, and actually causing them to come into the world of Asiya, to actually going ahead and taking those dreams, and they're yotzim ala poel. They become realities. He says, he makes such an amazing observation. We'll say, listen to this pasuk. This is Lamed Hey, pasuk Chafalef. What does the pasuk say? Vayavo'u kol ish asher nesa'o libo. V'chol asher nod v'rucha. We'll say, who are those people? I'm sorry. Getting a little excited. Those are all the people with beautiful dreams, beautiful aspirations. We learned about them in Truma and Tetzaveh. The world is filled with people with beautiful ideas, beautiful dreams, beautiful aspirations. And Abba say, what happens? Today I have beautiful dreams and beautiful aspirations. What happens tomorrow? Still got them. The next day, still have them. 5 years from now, still have them. 25 years from now, same beautiful, pristine dreams and aspirations. But what does the Torah say? Every single person, asher nesa'o libo, v'chol asher nidva rucho, heviu es trumas Hashem l'meleches ha'amoid, Rabbi say. Their dreams and aspirations didn't just remain dreams and aspirations. It was yatsa ela poel. They made it happen. It wasn't just, I have a beautiful generosity of spirit, beautiful ideas, beautiful machshavas, but rather, again, I took those machshavas and I made them into ma'asim. He says, Ki b'trumas hamishkan lo haya af echad kazeh. Kol ish asher nesa'o libo v'nod v'rucho. Every single person who had that beautiful generosity of spirit, shahaya lo rotzon l'nadev v'nishar b'rtzono bilvad. Don't think, Rabbi, say that anyone mentioned in Truma and Tetzaveh just had nice ideas but didn't act on them. Elo, kulam heviu es trumas Hashem. Kaimu ritzonam. Rabbi says the Chidah, the parshios are not repetitive at all. Truma and Tetzaveh speak about beautiful intentions. Vayakil and Pekudei speak about beautiful actions. Hotziu es machshavtam hatova min hakoach ala poel. The Ribbon Shalom gives us two additional parashos to teach us that in life, it's right. They didn't just have beautiful ideas and beautiful dreams, but they took those ideas, they took those dreams, and they put it into action. Parashas Truma Tetzaveh speak about people who are filled with Nesa'am Libam Nadva Rucham. And in this week's parasha, we learn about the people Heviu es Trumas Hashem. They took the intention, they turned it into actions. And Rabbi say, this becomes the Klal Gadol in life. The Chidah teaches us something amazing. And Rabbi say, the Rebbe Shalom teaches us. The Rebbe Shalom has 4 parashos in the Torah that are virtually mirror images of each other for one simple reason. Truma Tetzaveh, Rabbi say, tells us that in life, you have to have beautiful dreams and aspirations. You have to have goals. You have to have goals, right? Short-term goals, long-term goals, have them. The challenge in life is that so often dreams remain dreams, goals remain goals, aspirations may remain aspirations. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us 2 additional parashas of Vayakal Pekudei to give us the inspiration, to give us the confidence, and to give us the hope, to take that Nesa'am Libam, that Nad Varucho, to take all of our dreams and aspirations of Osai, and don't chas v'shalom leave them as dreams or aspirations, but rather find the courage to turn them into maisim. Find the courage to act on it. Find the courage to do. Find the courage to actualize those dreams and aspirations. Find the koach to take that which we have in our hearts and in our souls. Take that koach, turn it into a poel. Take that energy, take that resolve, and turn it into dynamic life activity. Good Shabbos. Perek Lamed Hey Pasach Chaf Aleph. V'chol Hashem v'yavo kol ish asher nisa'u libo v'chol asher nod varucho oso heviu es trumas Hashem. They did it. Incredible, no? Chidah. Chidah.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. 53.
Hello.
Kavi, how are you?
I'm very good.
Did it work?